Hello, girls.
Oh, hello, gorgeous.
Oh, I forgot. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous girls.
We have been sitting here laughing and laughing and laughing.
Yes.
And one day we'll tell you what we were laughing about.
Yes. And you might find out.
Yep, you might.
Well, I know you'll find out.
Eventually.
Yeah. If we do what we're going to do. But you never know.
We have a surprise coming.
Yeah.
For somebody.
Yeah. Who knows?
So what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to kind of talk about how Mimi and Nina got started.
How Dee and I met.
Yes.
And actually, we're going to go back to the beginning, to the genesis of it all.
Yeah.
We're going back to the beginning.
Kind of so that you know where we're coming from and why Mimi and Nina actually began. And so you need to know a little bit about us. So we are two women. We're mentor moms, and we'll explain what that means in a little bit.
We took a long trip to Alaska.
Yeah. We live in Anchorage, Alaska, and we're very involved in our church, Anchorage Baptist Temple. We're very involved in 907 Moms, which 907 is the area code for Alaska. And so that's how 907 Moms got started, and that's a group of women who have younger children, but
Well, actually, now it's
all ages.
Children all ages.
Yeah. And how they have mentor moms, older women, seasoned. That would be us.
Seasoned.
Yeah, that's a good word for
I like
us.
that.
Maybe more, that's one word. But we got involved, and we're both very involved in 907 Moms now, mentoring these younger girls, and they just need a grandma. They need some family. A lot of girls don't have family close because Anchorage is a military town and oil town, and so there's transfers in and out all the time. So we're two mentor moms, meaning 2M squared.
That's Dee's.
I made that up. Can you tell?
It's kind of cute, though.
I kind of like it because
2M
it kind
squared.
of, yeah, because it.
I do feel square sometimes.
I do too, especially with technology, as you will find out as time goes on.
All right, Dee, you want to start?
Well, okay.
Or do you want me to start?
I can.
You're looking at your watch.
Well, it keeps dinging, and I'm like, okay. So, I grew up Amish. I was born into an Amish family, and I still have Amish relatives. But when I was 4, 5, 6, something like that, we joined the Mennonite church. And that was a long time ago. My grandparents on my mother's side were Beachy. And Beachy is the name of the man who started this group from the Amish. They could have black cars.
Just black?
Black, no, nothing else. And the tires had to have no white walls on them. And that was way back. I don't know, do they even still make white wall tires? I don't remember. I don't even pay attention, but they couldn't have have white wall tires. They could have electricity, but they could have...
Is this the Mennonite group?
This is Beachy.
Oh.
It's between Amish and Mennonite. It's just a kind of
their own
little group, and they could have electricity. They could have record players, but no radios, because radios you could perchance get the world. And they called anybody who wasn't Amish English folks. So I was known as, my dad's name was Dan, and my first name is Dolores. Well, I can't believe I just said that. Oh, I haven't gone by that forever. I go by D now. But so I was Dan's Dolores. My mom would be identified by Dan's Katie Ann, his wife. And so it was because there were so many common last names, so they identified people like that. Kind of interesting, huh?
It is.
Yeah. So my grandparents were beachy, but they were godly people, and they lived what they taught. And you know, I remember being down there at Grandma's and Grandpa's, and he would always pray before a meal, and it was always the Lord's Prayer, and recite it. And we would have family devotions first thing in the morning, and so they were an influence on my life. And they had a daughter who was 3 months older than I am. So her name is Irma, and we have been friends forever because I spent a lot of time at Irmy Mom's.
Is this your aunt?
My aunt, Irma, that lives in Indianapolis now. Hi, Irma. And she has gotten saved, and I've been saved, and we have stayed in contact for all these years. Now, I have other aunts who are godly also. And so they were an influence on my life. Anyway, I got married many years ago.
But within what, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Of meeting him?
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. 4 weeks. Well, let's do this. September 21st was our first date. October 7th, he told me he liked me. October 14th, he told me he loved me. And October 21st, he proposed, and we got married January 3rd.
Oh, so 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because he wouldn't, I was in nursing school, and he didn't want to wait until I graduated. But that's been 45 years ago. There were struggles along the way. Every marriage has that. You know, but we did good. So we went off to Bible college after our oldest son was born, and that was an experience. Bible college, I was just pretty newly saved. You know, didn't have a clue what we were doing.
Were you going to school too?
No, I never did. I took one class one time, but we went 3 different times to Bible college, and he ended up with his Master of Arts in Biblical Counseling, and that's kind of what he does now, along with recovery. But anyway, along the way, Tony pastored 2 churches and has been on staff at 2, and including one right now at Anchorage Baptist Temple. And we've been at Anchorage Baptist Temple for 22 years. We took a break for 4 years and moved back to Illinois. And
I know you left me.
Yeah, it was hard. That was hard. Our kids were still up here, and our grandkids. And yeah,
I remember that.
Oh my, it was. I think that is the hardest thing I've ever done. I miss my kids and my grandkids. And
but you're back.
Yes, I missed Alaska too.
Did you really?
Yes, I missed Alaska.
What did you miss about Alaska?
No heat. No, literally no humidity, and even the winters were colder than this because the humidity is high, and I was cold all the time. But anyway, so through the years, and when Tony was in Bible college, there wasn't much for women. There was a few meetings that we would go to, you know, but there wasn't Bible studies for women like there is now. No. So I always had a burden for women's ministry. Lord put that in my heart soon after we got married. So it has been a long time, and I've done a lot with women's ministry through the years. So now that gets me where we're getting ready to be in Alaska. Why we moved here. So now,
my turn.
Your turn.
Well, I know it seems so long ago when I go to think about it.
I know.
Some things are just so fresh in my mind, some memories, and others are like, I really did that?
Yeah.
So I was born in North Carolina, and I lived most of my life in Tennessee with my mom and dad and my one sister. I never, ever in my wildest dreams thought I would live anywhere except Tennessee or North Carolina. It never really dawned on me that when I married I would move away. It was not even, I never thought about it. So when I did, it was kind of strange. But way back before that, I grew up in, you know that saying, your cousins are your first best friends?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That would be true of me. My mom was one of 5 children. She had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. My dad was one of 10. He had 8 brothers and 1 sister. They live in North Carolina, and the families are still there. Well, my mom's family, just this past year, she lost her last sister, living sister, passed away. So they're all gone. My dad's family, his one sister and youngest brother are still alive. So, but I grew up spending quite a bit of time with them. Where they lived, it was a farming community, so they had big gardens, and I've wished 1,000 times I'd pay more attention.
Yep.
Because I remember telling my mom, I will never put out a garden. And so what am I doing? What am I looking forward to this year?
Yeah,
Putting out
gardening.
my garden.
Yeah.
And I don't, most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. So I wish I'd paid better attention to it. I do believe whatever I am today is partly due to the prayers of my grandparents. I remember very vividly hearing my dad's mom pray for her children and her grandchildren by name many, many, many times. Both sets of grandparents were believers. They went to the churches there in their community. As a matter of fact, the church that my family all went to, my cousin is the pastor now.
That's so cool.
It is. It's very, very
neat.
sweet. I would have to say I learned to cook from my grandmothers. You know, my mom's mom teaching her how to cook, and then, then I copied my mom. But I rarely cook anything, I guess you'd say, out of a box or processed. Right. Everything is mostly what you'd call from scratch.
From scratch. Yep.
I think I may have told you about my grandmother would make applesauce, and then she would make these pies. She would make a pie crust, and she would fill it about that full with applesauce, and then she'd put a top crust on it and bake them. And somehow she would get that entire pie out, and she would stack them 2 and 3 deep, and then we would slice them and eat them like that.
I have never, ever heard of anything like that.
So good.
Oh, yum.
I think my mom when my grandmother passed away, I think my mom got my grandmother's pie pans.
Oh.
And I have them.
Oh,
I just haven't.
That's so cool.
I haven't attempted that yet. That sounds very complicated to me, but maybe one day I'll try. And my grandmother had an old wood cook stove.
The best.
This is what she used.
Yeah.
Even though she had an electric stove on her back porch, she cooked from her wood cook stove. And we would have family reunions, and me and my cousins would run around barefoot, and we'd be sung. And
yes.
They would each one had something special that I always liked. I had an Aunt Sarah that made the best coconut pie, and I'd always ask her to make it. And her daughter Connie, when she started cooking, she learned to make Italian cream cake.
I like that too.
And actually, Connie and I are the same age. We have the same birth date.
Oh, really?
I'm 7 hours older than she
Oh, that's so cool.
And that's kind of neat. But yeah, Connie was a great cook. But that was the first time I had Italian cream cake. She made it. And just, I don't know, maybe 2 miles down the road was my dad's family. And so when we'd have family reunions, there might be, I don't know, 60, 75, 80 people there. Have table after table after table lined up.
Oh, fun stuff.
And they all had, my grandma could make biscuits just like that.
Ugh.
I mean, just like that. But she made them all of her life. I remember her telling me a story one time. She had 10 kids, and they would put out a garden, and she'd always, she'd have to take care of her kids, but she also had to go out and help in the fields. She had to help my granddaddy.
Wow.
And she told me one time, I forget how many, at any given time, she had 3 or 4 kids under the age of 6. And
wow.
She said she had to go out to work in the field, and so what she did was she got a piece of twine rope, real thin, a little heavy string, and she would tie some of it around one of their wrists. And she said she'd leave about 10 feet between the next one. She'd go to the next child and she'd tie it around that one's wrist. And she took them out to a tree. And she tied the other end around the tree.
Oh.
And so she knew that she could go out and work in the field. She knew where her children were at.
Wow.
And she knew they'd be in shade. She would pack them some lunches to have out there. But that was the only way she could do it. Now it would be considered child abuse.
Yeah.
But she said back, this has been
Oh.
80 years ago or more.
Wow.
85 years ago.
I would have never thought about that, though.
But she said her kids were safe.
Wow.
She could keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
And they were in the shade. They were playing outside. And she could help her husband, my granddaddy, in the field.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
they did the best they could.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just great, great, great memories, with them. And I haven't seen them. I don't think I've been back to Tennessee or North Carolina, and I think it's been 4 years.
Oh.
I think it's odd. Do you, that the people you grow up and you see every day, you get married and move, and then you might see them once every 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of sad.
It is sad.
Kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to stay in touch. We have a Facebook group, and we stay in touch that way. And I text my sister.
Yeah.
So, but it's odd that I've lived in that part of the country for 24 years. Then got married, met a boy.
Met a boy.
They'll do it to you every time.
Yes.
And moved away, and
Yep.
I've lived here in Anchorage longer than any other place I have in my life.
Me too, because we moved around a lot. Not only in my parents, they moved a lot, but then Tony and I have moved a lot.
Well, we were in the military, so
Yeah.
We really did not move that much. I mean, we moved, 4 times across country, and Alaska would be considered overseas.
Yes.
So this is the only time we were overseas. We were in Arizona for 10 years, but we were there 3 different times.
Oh, yeah.
And we were in Georgia, which we loved, Warner
Yeah.
Robins, Georgia.
Yeah.
And we were in Maryville, Tennessee, which we loved
Oh, yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
So I don't guess we moved that much. It was just every 3 years, and we always went back to Arizona for some reason.
Huh?
We
Wow.
the friends we met there in Arizona are still very good friends.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So
Yep.
it's been good. So that kind of brings me up to where we will start next time.
Yeah. Getting ready to move to Alaska, and why Mimi and Nina actually got started. So,
And actually, it really wasn't our.
It wasn't our idea. It was God's.
It was kind of just kind of evolved.
Yeah, it did, which
Something
is very interesting.
We think.
Yes, we think it's interesting. We are amazed.
Yeah.
We are overwhelmed. We are humbled. We are like, what in the world, God, are you thinking? So, stay tuned next week for part 2.